So, when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger is heading into his 18th season as a professional quarterback in the National Football League, and he's currently 39 years old. And a lot of people are speculating that Ben Roethlisberger could potentially retire after the 2021 season. And now Ben Roethlisberger had a pretty solid year in 2020. The Steelers made it to the playoffs. They obviously didn't win a playoff game. Things didn't go their way in the playoffs, but Ben had a solid season. But I don't know if Ben Roethlisberger is the type of quarterback to play for another 4 to 5 seasons. My guess is he's going to, at max, play 2 more years. So that leaves us with the question, who is going to potentially replace Ben Roethlisberger for the future? And I'm here to tell you, it's not Mason Rudolph. It's not Josh Dobbs, who's the next great Pittsburgh Steelers franchise quarterback. My money is on former Ohio State quarterback and former first-round pick of the 2019 NFL Draft, Dwayne Haskins. My money's on Dwayne Haskins being the next great Pittsburgh Steelers franchise quarterback. I'm just going to say it right now. And again, I talked about this in the past. Immediately when the Pittsburgh Steelers signed Dwayne Haskins, I put this opinion out there. I'm going to put it out there once again. Dwayne Haskins will turn his career around with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And in fact, I'm here to tell you that Dwayne Haskins is the next great franchise quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now I'm going to admit, Dwayne Haskins, former first-round pick out of Ohio State, he completely flopped in Washington. But I truly believe that Dwayne Haskins struggling and falling flat on his face was a blessing in disguise for him. Because the reality is, I don't think Washington was a great fit for Dwayne Haskins. Okay? Because the reality is, when Washington drafted him, he was picked by the owner of the football team at the time, and he's still the owner right now, but the owner was Daniel Snyder. And he overruled the coaching staff and said, we're going to draft Dwayne Haskins, when the entire coaching staff and no one in the building wanted to draft Dwayne Haskins. And the problem right there is that, okay, if you're the owner and you're sold on this guy, that's great, but if the coaches don't want to work with him and the coaches are not sold on him being a franchise quarterback, that's a problem. And it's pretty clear early on that Ron Rivera lost faith in Dwayne Haskins. He benched him, early on in the season. He wasn't a big fan of Dwayne Haskins. A lot of fans also kind of lost faith in Dwayne Haskins of Washington. And let's be real, he played poorly. He never really got into a rhythm. He made some bad choices off the field. It just wasn't going to work in Washington. He was not very mature enough. He walked into a very dysfunctional, bad situation with a bad roster. He was a very young, raw quarterback that needed time to sit and develop and really study the NFL game before getting the keys to a franchise. But now Dwayne Haskins gets a fresh start with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And sometimes all you need is a fresh start and just get in a different building and interact with different people and work for a different company, okay? People bail on jobs all the time. They go to a new job and they look good as new. And you look at a guy like Brett Favre. People forget, Brett Favre, former Hall of Fame quarterback. Actually, he's still a Hall of Fame quarterback. But you get the point. Brett Favre, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He walked into a very similar situation as Dwayne Haskins when he was drafted. He was drafted by the Falcons. And Jerry Glanville, the head coach of the Falcons at the time, made it clear he did not want to draft Brett Favre. That was a decision made by ownership. And he at one point said it would take a plane crash for him to put Brett Favre in the game and for him to be the starting quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons. And it just wasn't going to work in Atlanta. So Brett Favre gets traded to Green Bay, a much more stable franchise, much more stable organization. He gets an opportunity, and he takes advantage of it. He becomes one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. People forget that Drew Brees, he was drafted by the Chargers, had a very rocky start to his career. But he goes to the New Orleans Saints. He hits the reset button. Drew Brees goes on to be a first ballot Hall of Famer and a Super Bowl winning quarterback, okay? And the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to put Dwayne Haskins in a great position to succeed. He's going to have stability regarding the coaching staff and the front office. Dwayne Haskins gets an opportunity to learn from Ben Roethlisberger, a former 2-time Super Bowl champion, winning quarterback. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a great scouting department. They draft well. They're really good at drafting wide receivers, so they're going to put talent around them. Kevin Colbert's arguably the best general manager in all of football. The Steelers are one of the most well-run organizations in all of football. The Steelers currently right now have a championship-level defense. They got star running backs and star wide receivers. The offensive line, I believe, eventually will get fixed. And you watch Dwayne Haskins from this past preseason game with the Steelers. He was making good decisions. He was getting the ball out of his hands very quickly. He wasn't forcing things. He looked like a more refined quarterback. He looked like a different guy. I think eventually Dwayne Haskins is only going to get better and better as the preseason rolls around. And I think that in the Pittsburgh Steelers program and within that organization, he's going to continue to get developed properly, and he'll be ready when his time is called. And Mike Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger are, the head coach of the Steelers and the Hall of Fame quarterback for the Steelers right now. They've said nothing but good things about Dwayne Haskins. Mike Tomlin is raved about him. Several teammates are raved about Dwayne Haskins. Ben Roethlisberger said that if Dwayne Haskins were to throw a football into a car wash, it wouldn't get wet. He really loves his throwing mechanics. And people forget, Dwayne Haskins was pretty awesome at Ohio State. He only had 1 year of production at Ohio State, but it was an all-time great season, a season in which he threw 50 touchdown passes to only 8 interceptions. He completed about 70% of his throws. I mean, he was awesome. And you saw the great arm strength. He made great decisions with the football. He won big games. And there seemed to be an it factor with Dwayne Haskins where this guy has the swagger, the arm talent, and the mental makeup to become a really, really good franchise quarterback. Okay? Go back and watch Northwestern versus Ohio State in 2019. Now, I believe that was Dwayne Haskins' best game, where he threw for nearly 500 yards. He was throwing the football down the field, throwing on the run, making these incredible throws, and he was a man amongst boys versus a really good Northwestern team that had a really good defense, okay? So, look, I think Dwayne Haskins definitely can turn his career around in Pittsburgh. I believe he will, for all the reasons that I mentioned. It's a fresh start for him. It's a new opportunity. And I believe Dwayne Haskins will not let this opportunity squander. I believe he's up for the challenge. And I believe Dwayne Haskins is the next great franchise quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers after Ben Roethlisberger retires. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God-blessed day, and I'm out.